Okay, so welcome. Welcome again for this podcast about Yoga Unveiled. Yeah, so we didn't have podcasts for some time. And in the meantime, I was traveling in India and for 2 months, and it was like a really wonderful time. That also I had the opportunity to visit one prestigious Govardhan Eco Village school, where I was going through this 200 yoga teacher training. And even though I was before 15 years, I was also going through this yoga teacher training in Croatia, but it was quite different. It was a totally different style of yoga. And I was so amazed through this experience that I had in India that I really wanted to share it. And yeah, it was like a wonderful experience. And I was also later on visiting also some other holy places, which I was sharing in the other talk that I had 1 month ago when I was coming back. And now I will just focus on this, what I have learned through this yoga teacher training. And before I start, I just wanted to share with you how did it look like? What was happening there? So you will be seeing now a short promotional video that I just randomly found out on the web about the Govardhan School of Yoga. It's really on a short, crispy, and you can see how it looks like. It's a really beautiful place.
Is the United Nations award-winning sustainable development center.
So it's a sustainable oasis. Amazing.
And to teach in those ancient yoga traditions, relaxing, lush comfort, and serene surroundings.
Has a beautiful facilities that they have made by their own hands. Everything.
You'll learn what aspects of yoga, but also understand some of yoga's best kept secrets. 9,000-year-old mystic tradition.
And amazing teachers, yogis, yeah. She finished from government of India college about yoga.
Day 1 to day 30, each and every person experienced a complete paradigm shift in their mind, body, and heart.
And food is amazing. We had such a delicious food, yeah.
Yeah, Govardhan Eco Village month, and it was an amazing experience. My name is Narahan. I come from Argentina. When I came here to learn about more asana, I found myself in a place that I could be able to be a teacher.
When I came here, I saw how you are so loving. I was really impressed by the way they are being served here.
Yeah, they have beautiful care for the cows and all the animals.
Patience and compassion for so many living beings around us.
Organical farming, they produce everything totally organical. An Ayurvedic center for healing. Really,
I'm from a country town near Melbourne. Although I specialize in sports, I have a keen interest in treating complex conditions, and for some reason modern science wasn't giving me the right answers, the depth that I want with a lot of these complex conditions, and that's what motivated me to look into yoga.
And it's like a very special place that combines sustainability, yoga, beautiful eco village.
What of advice to people and trying to make their life better, because my life is much better now and I feel really great.
They show you like deeper ways of yoga. It's not just
60-minute thing. It's like a whole lifestyle.
You must have seen also some pictures that I was sharing. And so it was like this flower festival also that we experienced.
To start the most important journey in your life.
Yeah, so it's like, oops, just a second, just to turn that off. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so you hear me now and see me and everything is okay. So regarding this experience, it was like a really, really amazing journey. And it was like really quite intense because we were having yoga classes in morning from 6:30 until 8. And then we had a small break for the breakfast. And then after that, we had like philosophy classes from 10 until 2. It was like 4-hour classes. And then we had a small break for lunch. And then in afternoon, from 4 to 6, it was again yoga classes. And then in the evening, some also programs. So it was like pretty intense. But I learned so much, even though I was doing yoga for like 10 years, that I started 15 years ago. And I was teaching students and so many other, mostly students. I was doing it on the colleges, even though I had classes also for general public. But the thing is that I was lacking this depthness that I found out there in the Govardhan Eco Village. On my own, I was studying a lot of Vedic traditions, yoga books and yoga philosophy, and researching on my own so that I could imbibe it in those yoga teachings that I was holding. But I never had such a comprehensive course on one spot. And that was like really amazing. Actually, when I started to do yoga, I started to do classical yoga, which is like also very calm and deep yoga. But then because in the West, it's a lack of such kind of yogas, I finished this yoga teacher training for more dynamic vinyasa yoga, which is more focusing on the body. And for young people, that's really great, but because it's you sweat and you have some physical exercise, but that's like really secondary aspect of yoga. The main aspect of yoga is going deep within ourselves, and you will see, I will be speaking today about it, focusing the mind and having this clarity and self-control, and which is like really like a special jewel and special opportunity that you can get through this classical yoga. And I saw during this last 15 years, from the time when I started to do yoga, actually last 5 years I was not doing due to a lot of other responsibilities I had. I was not teaching it. And the thing is that I came across so many different types of yoga. There is this hot yoga called Bikram yoga, where you sweat under the high temperature. Then there is chair yoga. There is even goat yoga, where goats are climbing on you while you are doing yoga. There is beer yoga, where they drink beer while practicing yoga. So there is like so many crazy things, like naked yoga, where they're naked, like so many crazy things, But there is also like not crazy things, but also many very superficial kinds of yoga, where they're mostly focusing on exercising the body and not so much dealing with the mind and going deep in yourself. And this also misses a point, because you have this in general, like you have more calmer, this hatha, or they call it in the West even yin yoga, and you have more dynamic like vinyasa or ashtanga, which is more for like young people who need some exercise. And I'm not criticizing any of those, branches, they have their benefits, pros and cons, but this classical Hatha Yoga has amazing benefits. And this holistic approach, or inner work, is something very special. I will be reflecting on that today. But before I start that, I just wanted to mention that when we were studying this yoga on the philosophy classes, it was interesting that they were mostly focusing that and saying that yoga is a science. Science in a way that how it functions, the practice and the whole philosophy. And as you must know, science, to something to be scientific, it needs to have 3 aspects. So the first aspect is that it has hypothesis. The second is that it needs to have experimentation. And the third is that it needs to be validated. So if you see yoga as a branch of science, the hypothesis is in the Vedantas and in these Yoga Sutras and all of these scriptures. And it says how yoga functions, what are the benefits, all of the things that you can discover and find in yoga and how it benefits the body. And the experiment is actually practicing it. When you put those practices inside of your everyday life, and it really, you can see the benefits. You can really see how your mind becomes calmer. You can really see how it affects your body, your consciousness, and how it totally transforms your life. And I remember before 15 years when I started to practice this classical Hatha Yoga, in the beginning, I was, like I told you, I was practicing the classical one. And before I was so passionate, 5 friends needed to follow me in order to keep up with me. Sometimes I even didn't sleep for 2-3 days, because I was just all day going out, hanging out with friends, and so many things happening, And I was wasting a lot of my energy in, in all directions, I was not on drugs, never, because I was training professional sports and all of these other things. But I had a lot of energy, But then when I started to do yoga, I understood that this energy can be focused and it can be utilized in much more efficient way, that I can really achieve something that I really want to, that I really desire. And because otherwise I was just, wasting my energy for so many different things. And it really functions, and it really helped me to develop amazing capabilities. Even when I mentioned earlier that I had one phase of my life and I became a monk, and that was after I started to do yoga. It's a couple of years after that. I wanted to really go deep into myself, and that was the last year or 2 of my college. And this is the most difficult college, one of the most difficult colleges in Croatia. Vjekoslav knows that, fair. And I was like fully dedicated to my monk life, and I didn't have so much time to study, but I finished the college very easily. And the secret was that I was, before the exams, I would go in this national library, and because I know some of the techniques of mind control and some of the techniques of this yoga nidra, quick relaxations, I was able to study for 2 days in a row without sleeping. I was just every 2 hours doing small yoga nidra to just refresh myself, restart myself, and again continuing to study, and I didn't sleep. And that focus that I got through controlling my mind and through yoga and all of these practices was amazing, that I could study the whole day, go in the evening, take exam, pass it, study the whole evening, whole night, because this national library is open 24 hours. And then in the morning, go to take exam, and then study whole day, and then evening again, go and take exam. And I was like really, like into it, and it felt like amazing. But yeah, this is actually why yoga really functions. But it can function on different levels, and we just need to see which aspects we want to address. And that's why I wanted to now just reflect a little bit. Do you know what yoga is all about? What the word yoga means? If you want, you can comment in the chat, and if you would like to share something, I would just love to see how does this function. And if you think, how would you define yoga as a practice? Yoga as a word. What does yoga mean actually? We saw so many times about yoga and we heard about yoga, but yeah, Julian says that yoga is about moving the body while breathing well. Yeah, that's one of the modern ways how to look yoga. And some people say that yoga is stretching, but it's really interesting that actually yoga, what it means, that it means to connect. It means to connect. To connect what? What can be actually connected? What are the different aspects of our life that can be connected? You remember we were talking that in previous podcasts. There was this couple of aspects of our existence that were there. There was this bodily level, there was mind, and there was a spirit. Thank you, Julian. But which connections could we make between those? What can we connect? We were also speaking about our consciousness. What is there to connect? What should be connected of those aspects? We can try to connect people with people, not just these aspects of our existence. We also try to do that. But that's another thing, and we will address it. What does it mean? We can also try to connect people with nature. And this is also something that people are trying to do. But what we were speaking now, we were trying to connect body with the mind. And when we connect body with the mind, this is called flow, that we can really experience, wow, efficient when we are doing some things. But what about connecting mind with intelligence, when we were speaking about yoga psychology before? So yoga psychology says that our consciousness is consisted of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And also some philosophers before, they were speaking about that, and more now in psychology, some of those aspects are being addressed. So when we are speaking about them, if we try to connect mind with intelligence, because the mind is that small voice that we have in our head that it's desiring, I want this, I want that. And intelligence is that rational part which tells us, oh, you should not use that because you want to lose weight, or you should not do that because it's not a proper thing to do. So if we try to connect this mind and intelligence to be rational and to be self-control, that's called self-awareness. So self-awareness is when we connect that we don't just allow mind to go around, space out and do whatever he wants, but that we control it with our intelligence. And when we connect our body, mind, intelligence, our whole three aspects with our consciousness, our soul, as it's called in yoga tradition, that's called self-realization. That we have realized who we really are. So this is also another level of connection. And the highest aspect of connection is connecting our consciousness with the supreme consciousness. That's called samadhi. That's the highest level of connection. So the first level of connection is connecting people with nature. Like I mentioned, this is this eco-friendliness. We are looking at that more and more in the nature, in the world today. And the second one is people with people. That is world peace, what United Nations want to achieve. And body with mind, it's called flow. Mind with intelligence, it's called self-awareness. And then the whole aspects of body, mind, and intelligence with the soul, it's called self-realization. And samadhi is when we connect the soul with the Supreme Soul, with the source of the existence. That's called samadhi, the highest level of connection. So this is actually what yoga is trying to do. It's trying to help us to connect with ourselves, go deeper with our consciousness, with our self, and then also develop relationship with the Supreme Consciousness, little by little. And it's really interesting that when we go deeper, when we studied about yoga, the biggest thing what's being addressed in the Yoga Sutras. Yoga Sutras are very ancient. They are scriptures speaking about yoga, and it's really interesting that when you see what's written inside, only on 4 places it's being addressed physical practice of yoga. All the other hundreds verses are being spoken about controlling the mind, how to control our mind and consciousness. And there is one verse calling Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So it speaks about getting over the fluctuations of the mind, because mind has fluctuations. It's just like not peaceful all the time. So it wants this, it wants that. In one moment it's anxiety, then it's depression, there is excitement, then it's sadness, then it's, like I want this and then I don't want that. And it has a lot of fluctuations and it cannot be controlled easily. So if we don't control it, it can be our biggest enemy, because it can induce us to do some things that we don't want. It could be counterproductive to the goals and to the purpose we want to achieve. But if we control it, it can really help us to achieve amazing things. If we learn how to train it to want proper things. Can you imagine that if you want to finish your college, you need to study a book, let's say, and can you imagine that you have such intrinsic desire to study a book, like you have to scroll the social media, or that, eating sweets or something like that, or whatever, watching TV or something like that. Because if we train the mind to really change its habits and change its desires, we can achieve amazing things if we develop proper habits. And this was also really interesting. When I was practicing yoga from the time when I started, more than 15 years ago, and now when I'm thinking about it, it's even almost 20 years ago. But when I was doing that, I was doing it regularly every day. And it was so amazing. It was like brushing the teeth in the morning. Like how you feel when you don't brush your teeth in the morning. You feel this like like in your mouth, that you feel unclean and you want to do it, isn't it? Because you know that how the positive effect that it has on you, and it became a habit, and you want to do that in the morning. And this is also how I felt when I was doing it every day. And you have a credible effect on your body, how you feel light, focused, calm, peaceful, and everything, and balanced. And then I just stopped because of many other obligations. I never stopped meditation, but physical yoga I stopped because I didn't have time to it. It was just one thing that I needed to sacrifice in order to be able to manage all the things that I was doing and all the crises that happened during the last, even before COVID a little bit, when we were opening some things. So I sacrificed it purposefully, but I never stopped meditation, which helped me to survive all of those things. But then I lost the habit, and it was very hard to get back. I needed to push myself to start doing yoga, physical yoga again, and it was not easy. And then my wife, she not inspired me, but she mentioned that she would like to go to this yoga teacher training when we were going to India. And then I said, yeah, please, let's go, so that I can again develop the habit, like continue to do that. And it's really amazing. Now it's like I feel like reborn. So this is how, if we train our mind, we can like really make it our best friend, and we can really achieve amazing things. But we need to know how to do that. And this is what yoga is all about. And so if you will be desiring, we can speak more about it in the future talks. I have few proposals on the end of the talk. And the third thing that I wanted to mention is what we were when we were learning about yoga in the basics, that Vedanta, the conclusion of yoga, is about reviving the soul's original nature. Because yoga is not just about the body. It's not just about mind intelligence. It's also about our original nature, the soul, and that purpose of connecting it back to the intelligent source of this creation. And reviving that soul's original nature, we really need to understand what is the nature of that soul. And they taught us that it has three aspects. And the three aspects are the following. So the first aspect is Sat, you know everything, Chit, and Ananda. I know that this doesn't mean so much to you, but Sat, this is an aspect which is addressing the permanence. So we all have this nature that we feel scared of death. Or can you imagine that in the next moment you can become something like a cockroach? It's frightening, frightening thought. Or that in next moment you will stop existing. It frightens us. But this may happen because as a soul, we transgress different bodies, and we can change the bodies. And even though if we don't believe in that, the death is there where we need to give up this body. And it is very frightening. And it's frightening because it's not our nature. It's not something that it's, like that is normal for us. And that's why we forget also the previous lives. We forget, like other things, because this is not natural. Our nature is that we are permanent as a soul. All of these changes are not our true nature. This is the Sat. The Chit is also a really interesting aspect, and this is cognizance. It's said cognizance, I think. And it's about wanting to understand and to explore the world, to explore, like when something happens, there is some noise in the next room, we immediately want to see, what's that? Like then, like, oh, there is some beautiful thing on the other continent that I have opportunity to see and to discover. I would love to see that. Or that we understand the things, especially when we are young, we have a lot of questions usually. Oh, Papa or Mama, why this is like that? Or why the sun is there? And then they say, come on, don't ask these stupid questions, it's because of that, it's just because it is, because sometimes they don't have answers. But we have that desire. We want to understand, and we want to know, and we want to, understand the things around us. And the third aspect is Ananda, and Ananda is aspect of bliss. And this is something that we are all searching for. We are all searching to be what? I would love to hear, why are you here today? If you can write in the chat. Why are you here today? What are you searching for? Julian says, Nicolette says, a purpose. Let us see. So we see that, why, Nicolette, are you searching for purpose? And Julian says that we are searching to be happy. So you are here to be happy. And Marta Kubitz says that meditation techniques and have to be happy for everyday life. Okay, so that through the meditation that we can be happy. Nicoletta says to do something meaningful in the world. But Nicoletta, if you go and say, why do you want to do something meaningful to the world? Again, you will come to the answer to be happy. So also, Vyacheslav, regarding the more serious talk than in usual daily routine. Why? Because you have a need. And that need is some fulfillment, some happiness. So all of these answers that you are sharing, when you go to deeper, when you ask why, you will find out that there is a deep understanding and wanting to be happy. And Christina is also there. And she wants to understand how does yoga function. Reach out to that connection. So, yeah, and this is also because if we want to be happy through yoga, we want to be happy through different things that we are trying to explore. And the happiness on the end really is the answer, always. You will really be, you can always try to do that. When you try to achieve something in life, either a career, either some hobby, either whatever, the end answer on the end is always because we want to be happy. Because this is the nature of us. The only thing is that in many cases, we are searching things in the wrong place. That's why consumerism is making people miserable, because they think that by buying things, they will be happy. That's why all of these IT solutions that we have, we think that they will make us happy, but they're making people more and more miserable because they are distancing them from physical connections into more digital ones. I'm not saying in general that everything is bad. I'm just saying that if we try to seek happiness in the wrong place, we will end up miserable. We can use all of these things and technology and all the social arrangements to find happiness in the right places. But we need to search in the right place. And all of these three aspects, as a soul, as a consciousness, yoga is teaching us that we have them in fullness. By our nature, we are full of happiness and bliss. We are full of knowledge, and we are permanent. But why don't we feel like that? Why don't we feel blissful all the time? Why don't we feel cognizance all the time? Why don't we feel permanence all the time? And yoga is sharing with us these ancient teachings that because we are covered with avidya, that's called ignorance. Yeah, I see more messages coming up from the previous question. And yeah, because we are covered with ignorance. And this ignorance is covering our true nature. And it's covering our true nature because otherwise we will not be able to function in this world. If we would be fully cognizant, we will see that this world is full of miseries, that our body is having so many problems and that so many things need to be ideal in order that we can be happy. And that this world has more problems than positive sides. And then if we are cognizant of all of that, we would be really, maybe sad, anxious, and everything. That's why our mind always tells us, no. You know, like you tried being happy with buying that one thing, and you are now dissatisfied, but maybe next one will make you happy. Next thing will make you happy. And then again, the same thing happens. You know, like now that was, we had pandemia with COVID. And before that, there were so many other problems. It was not the biggest problem that we had in our history. There was also other pandemias. There was also wars. There was also economical crisis. I hear every couple of years people announcing end of world. every couple of years, there is some theory that world will end, that we will all be erased, that everything will fall apart. And it's really interesting. And what happens, that moment comes and passes by, and people just like nothing happened. Oh, nothing happened. So many times I heard that, you know, like we will be wiped out now with nuclear weapons, that so many millions of people will die because of the vaccines, that before it will be like some meteor will hit the planet and everything will collapse. And it's always like that, every couple of years. I don't want to go into this philosophy now, but I'm just saying that because of that avidya that covers us, we forget about that. And we think, wow, today is the day when I will be happy with this material world, with the external material things. And then we try, and then again, it doesn't happen. And we again forget it. So this is this amnesia about our real identity and trying to find that happiness in the wrong place is the biggest problem. And this is why it's interesting that these Vedantas and Yoga Sutras are teaching us that this world is made to reawaken us. And I will end with that point. It's a really interesting point that this world, you know, when somebody has amnesia, when somebody loses his memory, maybe hits his head and loses his memory, that happens. What do people do to help him to recover his memory? There is a couple of things that people do. One of the things, they hit him again. No, that doesn't function. But they try to do to bring him on the places where some familiar things are there, to reawake his memory. Explain the past. This is what Julian mentioned. Try to give him the knowledge. Explain the past. This is the second thing. So bring him to the places familiar to him. That's trying to revive previous memories, giving him knowledge about the past. And the third one is a shock treatment. This is really interesting. They put him on with the electrodes and they put a lot of shock to his body to try to reawaken that memory. This is interesting, and this is done in how to reawake the person's memory. And this is actually what happens in the world today. And this is why yoga is helping us to reawake that original nature. First thing is that through the yoga processes, you try to revive your previous memories. And I will mention there is different yoga processes which try to help to do that in different ways. But also with the knowledge, there is whole Vedic epistemology, knowledge which gives understanding of our true nature and our how do we really function, so that we can revive that. And the third thing is what material nature does to us. That's why there is so many suffering and miseries, because it's a shock treatment that we can really start thinking, this is not a place for me. It's not the place where I can be happy. Even with millions of euros, even with beautiful girls, even with beautiful men, whatever, even with so many different things, you know, it will not make our heart full. And I know people who tried and who had that. And I also came from a good standing family, and I had everything that I could imagine, everything that I desired. But still, emptiness was inside. Even though I was a role model to others, even though I had girls, even though I had money, bikes, everything. But the thing is about material things is that they give you some superficial satisfaction. The biggest thing is this yearning. I want that. And then you get it, and it gives you some happiness. It gives you some temporary satisfaction. And then again, there is another yearning. No, this doesn't satisfy me. I want more. I want other one. I want this. I want that. And that's why people buy yachts, villas, so many different things, and they are not much more happier than people without all of that, who have some deeper inner values. So, yep, this is actually what we were studying there, aside of doing yoga, because yoga is not just about physical exercise. This Ashtanga Yoga, traditional process of yoga, has 8 limbs. And first 2 is yama and niyamas. Those are the things that are beneficial for us, for our consciousness development, and things that are not beneficial, that we should avoid. It's really interesting and it's really helpful. And in one episode, I can speak about that. Then we have asanas, which are physical exercises that are meant just to purify our body, so that this tamastic ignorance, this energy which is blocked, that goes away, and that that our body flow can be like really in good way, that nadis can open these energy channels. And then we have pranayams, which are helping to pacify our mind, to purify our consciousness. And then later on, we have different stages of meditation through which we go, retracting the senses inside, focusing on one point, deepening the focus, and then on the last level is samadhi, these levels of connections that I was speaking before. So those are the different levels that you can go through yoga. But physical exercise is just one aspect, and on the West, everything is just focused about that. Even though it's just a small aspect of yoga, just to balance our body, purify it, and bring it in a mode of goodness, so that we can later on develop our consciousness and move forward. It's not about how we look. It's not about what we can touch and what we cannot touch by stretching. All of these things are very superficial. And many people also hurt themselves by doing yoga because they want to show off or take a picture on Instagram or whatever, you know. But the real yogis who have mastered their senses and all of these things, you cannot see on Instagram. They're usually in the caves. But this is just one of the processes of yoga. There is also many other processes of yoga. And in some other episodes, we can also mention that. And I would love to open now a discussion about this, what I spoke about. I will just recap so that we can then reflect. And I would love to hear your thoughts about it. And I was thinking about, I will mention it one more time on the end, having a future sessions. I'm just a little doubtful about this June and July, because summer is approaching, about the availability of participants. But I had 2 things in mind about that sessions, future couple of sessions. And one could be going a little deeper into this, what I spoke today about yoga, all of these yamas and niyamas and this traditional process of yoga. And the other is one very interesting that I just read, an amazing book. It's called Essence Seekers. It's not seeking the essence, but essence seekers. And actually that wrote one person that I knew from before. And I just read that book just a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, wow, this book is really amazing. I would love to share this book with the people I'm speaking with on Seeking the Essence program. And we could even have like a couple of sessions going through a couple of chapters of that book. You can find that book on Amazon also. You can purchase it on electronic version or paper version. I highly recommend it. And just write Essence Seekers. Dr. Edith Best is the author. So yeah, and now I would love to see and hear more from you, and to see what do you think about all of this, what I spoke. And I was speaking before a little bit what happened in India, what I learned. I spoke about yoga as a science. I spoke about different levels of connection and yoga, how it means connection. I spoke about mind control as the most important part of the yoga, how to connect and control our mind. And then I spoke about the conclusion of yoga and this reviving of the soul's original nature and the amnesia, why we are in that condition. So if you have any thoughts, questions, I would love to hear directly, verbally, so you can unmute yourself and give me the feedbacks and questions if you have some. If you're shy, you can also send a chat message, but I would love to hear also from you. At least what was the most interesting thing, intriguing thing, or if you want to go a little deeper in some of those aspects.
I really like the different parts of connection, the different types of connections. I didn't hear this like going from one to another or just putting them in this way. So it's really interesting to hear.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, I was also like when I heard it there, I was like, interesting. Yeah. I said now after that classes that I was listening there, I said, I have a material for a lot of things to share with friends and people who are interested in this. Yeah. Others?
I also liked, sorry, the fact that yoga means to connect, because it's very meaningful to me, and it sounds quite obvious now. And also the fact that we need to develop a habit, and it's very hard to have a routine and a habit. It's a lot of exercise, and what can help is to train, to follow a training, to get back to the habit. So I'm thinking of it gives me ideas.
Yeah. Developing habits is like the basic thing is how to gain control over the mind and to put it into that mood that it repeats something so that it develops habit. And this, what you said about yoga and connection, maybe I didn't emphasize it so much, but yoga literally means connect. When you translate the word yoga, it means connect. It's really interesting. And that's why yoga is working through all of these aspects, physical practice, pranayama and everything, to be able to control our mind so that we could really achieve what we really want in our life. That's why I was mentioning that in the beginning when I was studying, how it helped me like tremendously, like really amazingly. And it really brings you into this mode of goodness through the practice where you are more calm, more self-present, and more in the moment. Because in the mode of ignorance and passion, you are just, like either lazy or either just running around. And too many tasks in the head, and then mind is not peaceful. So this goodness is really amazing. Yes, Vyakoslav?
Yeah, if you start thinking about goodness, then you will probably be propelled to want to work on something that's more beneficial to humanity. Like a lot of jobs today are in the mode of like passion and ignorance, because they just want better results from the market. They just want more profit. So they're like some blind force acting upon the market. And something that could be maybe very beneficial is maybe very hard to get money for, or funding, or like, I don't know, you will make more money with some expensive new medicine than you will make by giving some phenomenal knowledge about God and how one can find peace in this connection, and so on. So that's maybe thought, the goodness versus money.
Yeah, but what you now spoke about the extremes. I would not fully agree on that, because I'm also teaching entrepreneurship and all of these things. And I'm seeing the trends today. And the trends today are that more and more startups and more people are looking on impact. How do they really impact the society? One of the side effects is also that they look superficially. So while they are trying to positively impact one aspect, sometimes they negatively affect a couple of others. And you can see that by social medias, which were there to connect people. You can see that by, like some IT solutions and this and that. But the thing is that when you were mentioning this helping and spirituality, this is transcendence. This goes above goodness. So in goodness, transcendence means everything that goes beyond the material level. So this is transcendence. Goodness is still material, and goodness, this everything that is in mode of goodness doesn't need to be in annex. How to say that you cannot get a profit out of it. Many people who are in the goodness, they get a lot of profit out of the things that they are doing, and they can be beneficial. Like they can be very beneficial for others. They can enrich people's lives by coaching, counseling, by developing food that is healthy, by helping people practice, sports and physical activities that are beneficial for them. And so many different aspects. You can do so many different aspects, and you can still function in this world. And the result of that acting in the mode of goodness is that you are happy. You're really happy, and you don't want. The thing is, what is the difference between passion and goodness is that in passion you are always wanting to increase. You are always greedy, lusty, you want more, you want more. But in goodness, it's not. When you have enough for yourself, you are satisfied. When you have for your needs, you don't want to get, if you have a good car, you don't want to get Rimac Nevera, or something like that, and you don't want to, do some crazy things just because of the lust and greed. You are self-satisfied, but you can still earn enough. But when people in mode of goodness earn more than they need, they give in charity. Even when they earn because of their good karma or because of their whatever, they give in charity. They want to help others because they have this open heart, Also in passion, sometimes people do that because they want recognition, name, fame, and all of these things. But in goodness, it's more unselfish. So it's possible, but we need to change our mindset, because over-endeavoring is the quality of the mode of passion. Over-endeavoring, working too much, sacrificing our personal time, sacrificing our time for meditation, time to balance. And that's why yoga helps us to calm down, to balance, to purify that urgent, I want more. And I can say that also from my personal experience. It's even though I'm doing every day, 2 hours of meditation, it's when this mode of passion just rolls you up, like in the COVID times, it's really hard to keep your head over the water. You need a lot of energy, and if I was not doing that practice, I would drown. So many times.
I think I understand a little better now. Not everybody can receive and be helped with transcendental knowledge, but they can still be helped with something actually good, practically good, and so on. When you said that goodness is also material.
Yeah, goodness is material.
Thanks.
Yeah. For those ones who are maybe first time interacting with these modes, there is these 3 modes: ignorance, passion, and goodness, which everything in this world can be sorted in. And all of them are material. All of them are dealing with this material world, with the material energies. Transcendence is something above the material world. It's all about our true nature and something else. But these modes, you can help people by raising it in the mode of goodness. Today, mostly people are in the mode of passion and ignorance. Either they are running around after money and all of these things, or either they are just lazy behind their screens, and whatever, So goodness is lacking because consumerism is not supported so much by goodness, because they are self-satisfied, they don't want expansion, they don't want so many things, Yeah. Chris, I didn't hear anything from you or from Martas or Christina. I would love to hear something also from you. Or if somebody else wants to say something. I would just like to hear what was the most interesting part also. Actually, which you said at the beginning, I forgot. And Martas or Christina. I know one Marta is only there, the other one escaped. Is there any questions that you wanted to ask, that something was unclear? And regarding this question that I had for you, I was just a little bit doubtful about future sessions, having them in next couple of weeks. I was thinking Monday, the same time, because most people voted for Monday at this time that they could attend. What do you think about hosting every Monday for next 2-3 weeks a session? You can just put emoticon thumb up if you think that would be possible. Or yeah, you can put, what are different emoticons? Let me just see reactions. This, or you can put this. Oh, not sure. Yes, so we have a couple of likes, and Julian, Marta, and Nico. Okay, so let's see. But I'm just like about the topics. We had a topic to delve a little bit deeper. If you're really interested into the yoga, to understand yoga, this classical hatha yoga, a little better, I can share in 2-3 sessions a little more deep in depth about these yama and yamas, things that are beneficial, that are not beneficial, levels of our consciousness and how to control them, and some of those things. That's one possibility. And the other possibility is about the book that I was mentioning to you. And this book describes a person as a seeker in one very, very creative and one very amazing setup of his life, that he was going through life and through different experiences and how he was seeking for the essence or purpose in life. And then through these wonderful stories, you can see how a person, through his consciousness, gets on different tests and challenges and different crossroads, how to choose the right path in order to achieve perfection, in order to uplift his consciousness. And basically, it's also touching on many of these things that I will be speaking again also about yoga. So I'm just a little curious, what would you like to hear more? And you can put thumb up for yoga session, this first thing, or heart for going through that book part. Julian is for yoga continuation. Others, Marta is also for yoga continuation. Others are whatever, huh? Everything is good, huh? Okay, both actually, Marta says, and Christina, all, Nico, all of them, great. Okay, I will think a little bit about it, but just a question also. How many of you would like to get that book? Nico, Julian? Just wondering, because if you would be going through that book, I was thinking that we go chapter by chapter, that you read it, explore it, and because it has some very curious and one very mystic things, I would love you to, that we can discuss then afterwards. So what I suggest is that if you can buy the book, and it will need some time to come, I will write you the references. Just a second, I will just try to find Amazon. Essence Seekers, Dr. Bess. Oh yeah, there it is. It's immediately there. $3-4 on Kindle, and yeah, paperback is a little more expensive, but here it is. I put it on the chat, so you can find it. But then on next time, because you will most probably not, if you read electronically, you can get it immediately, but if you read on paperback, you will need a little time. So next time I can prepare something more in depth about yoga, about these yamas, niyamas, and these levels of our consciousness and such kind of things. And then afterwards, we can later on, we see how many sessions we can have about yoga, and then to see, will we go through this book during the summer or after the summer? So we can have a small book club. And I will be sharing you also on the email. Are all of you on the mailing list that I'm sharing? Is somebody not? If you can just put your hand out.
You mean WhatsApp or mails?
Mails. On mails.
I don't think I received mails. Let me check.
Okay. Send me a message in chat if you don't receive an email update when I'm sharing about the seeking the essence. And I will just try to find the form and send it to you if you are not. Seeking the essence. Yes, that's the one. Okay. Send. Shorten. Copy. And I'm sending you the link. Those one of you who is already receiving the emails, you don't need to sign up again. But those one of you who are not, you can just click on this link on the form and you can just leave me your contact, and then I will just add you to the mailing list. So yeah. On the end, yeah, so that's what you can get. I will just also